Nearly 3/4 of a century ago, a Sabbath school teacher in a small Midwest town gave a nickel to each child in her class. She challenged the boys and girls to let their nickels work for Jesus. They bought garden seeds. They raised baby chicks. In a few weeks, they gave an account, $11.52 from 5 nickels. The idea was the beginning of a global plan that has helped provide funds for the World Mission Program. The Sabbath School Investment Program now furnishes over $3 million each year. A portion of these funds is designated for opening the work in new areas. 2 frontier evangelism projects in the North American Division were designated to benefit from the 1978 investments made by Sabbath School members. The hills of East Kentucky form a part of rural Appalachia, a region with communities of people left behind in the American march toward the good life, a frontier for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. A portion of the investment funds this year will be invested in Appalachia. Specific projects are being pursued to root the Adventist Church among these mountaineer peoples scarred by poverty and despair. The 2 North American investment areas, Appalachia and the Yukon, are spread by many miles. It was in the late 1890s when men were irresistibly lured to the harsh Canadian Northland. A gold fever had struck. A prospector staked his claim beside Rabbit Creek, and 100,000 men from all walks of life scrambled to the Klondike in search of a fortune. Battling against accidents, frost, starvation, and disease, every man fought to be the lucky one who would escape a tragic death and come out rich. In less than 10 years, the rush was over, but mining the land had begun. Through the years, mile after mile has been left with coiled gravel of tailings from the dredges. The Klondike Gold Rush played a significant role in shaping the future of the Yukon. Mining remains the most important industry. It provides an annual income of $185 million. Zinc is the greatest source of this income. But the territory also yields large deposits of asbestos, coal, copper, gold, lead, nickel, and silver. Echoes of the past still linger. Many of the old Gold Rush buildings still stand. Much of the old-time flavor still remains. The Klondike city of Dawson was once the gold capital of the world. Today, its 800 people are trying to retain the colorful atmosphere and romance of the frontier time, only a generation or 2 away. It is a flashback in history, but much is being done to rebuild some of the original buildings that were once alive with music and laughter. Along Bonanza Creek, old-timers pan gold. It is a way of life, and it helps maintain the history. When speaking of his homeland, the famous poet Robert Service said, "The Yukon has a beauty that thrills me with wonder, stillness that fills me with peace." The land is filled with adventure. It is a young man's country. 70% of the entire population of 23,000 are under age 35. About 15,000 of these people live in Whitehorse, the capital city. This prosperous, growing city provides an important lifeline to all the outlying communities. So it was proper that this hub of the Yukon should be the place where the thrust would begin to firmly establish Seventh-day Adventist work. During the 1978 summer months, college students made personal calls on every home. Several volunteer task forces converged in Whitehorse. They conducted a nutrition school. They prepared crafts and held a vacation Bible school, a 5-day stop smoking clinic. All was a follow-up for the 3,000 Steps to Christ distributed a few months earlier. Mary Elaine Anderson and her pastor husband recently moved to Whitehorse. Mary Elaine is a journalist. She feeds the Whitehorse Star with releases on healthful living and reports every activity related to her church. Her husband, Les, says the few members in Whitehorse were thrilled when they learned that finances for a church building had been committed from the 1978 investment funds. So when the earth thawed in May, one of these members, Roger Kneller, began to doze the ground. He was helping to prepare the foundation so all would be ready for Maranatha craftsmen. June 18, 1978, 144 members of Maranatha Flights International met in Whitehorse. They had come from many states and several provinces. They were craftsmen, tradesmen, professional people seeking a meaningful diversion, and people who simply have an urge to be involved. 82-year-old Arabella Williams never looked up from her work when she remarked,
"This is my 10th Maranatha project, and everyone is different, and I enjoy them all."
With 24 hours of daylight and good organization, these volunteer workers soon began to lift the walls into place. From the foundation to the installation of fixtures, the project actually seemed like one long workday. Just before approach of the Sabbath hours, at the end of the second week, final touches and cleanup were made. The mission was accomplished. All was on time. All was in readiness. Anticipating every need, a Maranatha member purchased a piano to be delivered in time for the first service. Sabbath, July 1, at the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Yukon. All around the Yukon, I'm going to let it shine. It was a joyous hour for the few members of the Yukon as they worshiped with their Maranatha guests. Eric Holroyd, who has lived in Whitehorse 12 years, tried to express his emotional feelings.
It is really a great privilege to be here this morning in this sanctuary that has come up in 2 weeks. Our hearts are so overwhelmed with gratitude that words itself does not express what we feel inside.
In the afternoon, a Cessna 180 plane was dedicated, a gift from friends in Southern California. The plane furnishes a connecting link with scattered remote communities. The small congregation in the Yukon were left with a prized possession when Maranatha members had said their last goodbye. Gratitude and courage were evident.
We want the people of Whitehorse to really know that they have friends at the Adventist Church.
The church in the Yukon is a reinvestment of Sabbath School member investments in 1978. This is a Mission Spotlight report.